I'm here to just offer my condolences, obviously, to Kyren Lacy and everybody who has been affected in that incident. But just wanted to react to a video that you had the Pivot podcast talking about it. Obviously, Ryan Clark is an LSU grad and has strong ties with Kyren and the LSU program. And just with them being athletes and being in the media, as well as in the new media, they have a great insight, and I kind of wanted just to dive deep into that video for a second. Let's check it out.
Tough week this week, fellas. Kyren Lacy passed over the weekend. You look at Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, the way that those young men have been affected. But also, too, there was a lot of negativity socially because of the investigation the young man was under. What does this again say about the mental health of athletes, young people, and especially in our communities?
When you're in the limelight, like most athletes are, you have the pressure to succeed, to go out there and perform on the field, but also off the field. And, and nowadays, when you look at these young people, they're given opportunities, opportunities to go out and be brand sponsors and make a ton of money. And that in itself will form pressure, which can actually lead to mental health.
Yep. No, just kind of want to add to what Fred is talking about. I think the athlete right now has a greater pull than the athlete did even 5 years ago. That the athletes now with NIL and being able to be more in the media, not just the top athletes, because before it was just, first round guys, Heisman winners that kind of got the media presence. But now you're able to build your own brand. And with that opportunity comes a lot of scrutiny. And I know for a lot of athletes that having to live up to the opportunities that you are getting off the field sometimes does come with a cost. And not to downplay any of the things that he did, but I think at the end of the day, it does take a mental toll on you as an athlete. And like I said, being in the spotlight, with great power comes great responsibility. And for some people, it's hard to shoulder those responsibilities. And especially as male athletes, we don't really speak about in our feelings, and you kind of hold it in. So I'm glad Fred made that comment earlier. Let's check in for the rest.
The pressure of perfection, they don't understand that they will never really be perfect, and then little mistakes actually turn out to be big things in their mind because of the pressure, because of what society puts on them. Ultimately, it can lead to deep depression. And I think for Kyren, I want to send my condolences to his people and all of his loved ones. I believe he felt those pressures. He felt the pressures of, wanting to make right, after the accident or situation that happened. And it was unfortunate that happened. But I know he felt a whole lot of pressures of just wanting to be where he thought he should be in life. And young people do that. I saw Mel Robbins post something the other day about giving them the mindset that they can use going forward to let them know that they're not behind. And those are also different pressures outside of being an athlete. For me, I'm having a tough time trying to make words right in it. And
just kind of like what Fred was saying, there is no right words to say. And I kind of like what he talked about feeling behind and feeling the pressures of having to live up to that moment, or one instance has changed your life and you feel like everything else doesn't matter. Because I think as a regular person now who is a former athlete, that gets to me a lot, right? Where I feel like I'm not where I need to be, and I have to push a little bit more to kind of get to a place in the space because of the social cultural norms or the influences of everybody you see around you. And like I said, I can't speak for Kyren. I can't speak for his situation. I'm just somebody on the outside looking in. It seems like he was on that trajectory as well, right? He was at one point one of the best players in the country at his respectable position. But, he did run into some legal issues, and those kind of might have put an anchor on him. And now for a lot of people that they cannot find different ways to cope. So it's unfortunate that the issue happened, the legal issue happened, and somebody did get affected. But I can only imagine what that does to your mental space of as you're training for pro day, you're seeing your draft stock kind of slide a little bit, and having to weight to shoulder of not just yourself, but your family, because this is that time you're trying to get them out the hood and take them into a new space. So I can only imagine.
I just feel so bad for Kyren. I feel bad for any young person. One mistake isn't the end of your life. Two mistakes isn't. It's just adversity. And we have to be able to speak more so we can allow them, send them a message so that they can see that no one's perfect. Pressures are going to come and go. Just continue to live your life forward, man, and make the most of it. But we got to also do our best to continue to check in, on the young generations when they are going through different things. Such bad tragedy, man.
I'll say just nothing is too big to overcome. I think that's what a lot of, and I think that's our responsibility as adults is to explain that to them and be there to them and help young people utilize those resources, because when you're a kid, things can seem bigger to you than they really are. We're grown men, grown women, mature people, and I think that would be my main focus. And Kyren was going through a lot, and with things snowballing, somebody should have been there to talk with him and tell him, like, this isn't the end. This doesn't have to be the end. This shouldn't be the end. Things get better. The sun will come out tomorrow. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's a lot of young people put a lot of onus on the negativity and overlook the positivity.
What he said was important. And that pressure that we put on ourselves, it's only magnified when you have a social media presence as well. Because it's not just the inside voices that you're hearing, it's the outside voices from people, user 489 on Instagram or so-and-so on Twitter, and people on TikTok and Facebook and all these different platforms coming down and having those conversations with you, and you check them. And as much as people don't want to talk about them or look at them, you notice those comments and they hurt. They say sticks and stones may never hurt your bones, but words may never hurt you. That's BS, because words hurt. And when you read things from people you don't know and you start believing in them and you start hearing them inside you, it hurts. And like you said, there is no obstacle, there's no shortcomings that you cannot overcome. But if nobody's telling you that and nobody's constantly reminding you that, and you don't have an inner circle that is constantly feeding positivity into you, it's hard to believe that. It's hard to believe that. And for a lot of young kids, they said anxiety is one of the silent killers, because for a lot of us, that's the only time, we're the only people we talk to 24/7. And what are you saying to yourself every single day? I can only imagine what he was saying to himself. From the outside looking in, people can wonder, how can he do that? He's making a lot of money. He's a top athlete at a top university. He's about to get drafted, and so many things are about to change, but you don't know what is happening at the end of the day when he's about to lay his head down. How many times have you had sleepless nights? What is the inner dialogue looking like? And for a lot of young athletes, they make a lot of, just young people in general, not just athletes, we make a lot of permanent decisions in temporary situations. A lot of permanent decisions in temporary situations.
Family that loved him. He had teammates that loved him. He had a lot of people around him, but going through a tough time doesn't mean that's the end of time. So I would just say, man, it's sad. We lost a great human, and I know he's a great ball player, and everybody knows him for that. But a great human being. But there's nothing out there too big to overcome when you have people that love you and you have the resources behind that, and those people and those helping hands to reach out to you and pull you back up.
I found out Kyren passed. It immediately brought me back to where I was when Nashell, my friend, committed suicide. And it wasn't the nature of his death or in the way that it was being reported. It happened. It was just another time where I knew no one won. And you think about what Kyren was going through with the incident where the veteran was killed, the traffic violation, him being called a killer. him being called a murderer, if those aren't your true intentions, if those aren't the contents of your heart, that could be a ton to handle. When all you've ever wanted to do was play in the NFL, when all you've ever wanted to do was have an opportunity to play this game on the highest level, and that continues to be pushed further and further away from you, and the internet continues to tell you it's what you deserve, that could be difficult. The thing I want to say is to anybody, we can't always hold everyone to their worst moment, but we can and we should hold everyone accountable. As Black men, we have to do better. We have to do better in the way we behave, in the examples we set. We have to do a better job of passing down the knowledge of the missteps and the wrong steps and the bad decisions and the mistakes, as much as we pass down the triumphs and the wins and the successes. And we also have to hold people accountable when they make that first mistake that could be that little mistake before it becomes this big mistake. And in this situation, I do believe that Kyren's mistake led to his death, and that makes me sad. It also brings us back to something we all shared together. It's just 3 questions. And I'm around y'all all the time, and I'm part to blame for this. Just like, man, you good? You okay? Do you need anything? And I think the other thing that we have to be conscious of is you need to answer those questions honestly. As Black men and as men in general, you're taught to always be good. You're taught to always be okay. You're taught to never ask for anything because you're supposed to be able to do it. But when somebody asks you, are you good? If you're not, it's okay to say I'm not. If they ask you, are you okay? If you're not, it's okay to say that you're not. And if they ask you, do you need anything? If you need it, it's okay to tell them you do. Because if they truly are asking you that question because they want to know the answers, that means they love you. And if they love you, they're gonna do the best they can to give it to you. So my heart, man, like breaks for Kyren. It breaks for his parents. It breaks for his girlfriend. It breaks for his family. It breaks for his friends and brothers like Malik and Jaden, because you could see how much love they had for him and how affected they are.
I love what Ryan Clark said. Because I know for a lot of people, we're defined by our worst moments instead of our genuine intention in our character. And I think it's easy when social media and media or culture is put in place because everything's magnified. And for him, like you said, I'm pretty sure all Kyren wanted to do was just make it to the NFL. As a young ball player, anybody, and hearing his story of where he's came from and how he's gotten to where he is and how he's waited his turn and he's made the most of it, that should have been reality. And it's unfortunate one moment that happened and people telling you deserve it, and I can't speak on the legal issue. I can only speak on the fact that nobody won right here. Nobody won because Kyren took his own life, and a lot of lives were affected after that. Not for the positive, not for the negative, just nobody won. And in those moments, it's hard because, like you said, it's not just Kyren, but there's a lot of other males who are struggling with that inside. And, there needs to be a real check-in with each other of, hey, are you okay? Are you good? And do you need anything? And when somebody asks you that, like you said, be honest, because it's hard enough. We live in an economy and everybody's issues are different. Everybody's struggles are different. But we need to have enough flexibility and honesty with each other to be like, I got you. And if you truly love the person like you say you love them, they're asking that question so they can at least do whatever they can to help you. It's hard. I'm telling you, if you're struggling with any mental health issues, you're struggling with any anxiety, you're struggling with any depression, you're struggling with anything, and I'm not talking about just for athletes, I'm talking about for former athletes, I'm talking about people who never played a sport a day in their life but are struggling every single day. Please do not do it alone. And I'm somebody who isolates easily and runs away because I don't think anybody wants to hear my problems. But I promise you, there's people who would rather hear from you than hear from your eulogy. So this situation breaks my heart because as an athlete and a former player, it's unfortunate to see something like this happen, and happens too often. And Kyren was just one of the stories, but one of the many stories that's out there. So if you're struggling, find somebody. I promise you, you're not alone. We're in this together. Thank you.